I found Family First Life and I said, okay, this is a producer model. This is something that I can really see myself growing with and becoming successful with. So I decided to make that change. And that's really that was the main reason, was you guys start at a very high contract level. And
because when people say like, oh, leads don't work, I'm like, well, how many have you bought and how many have you worked? What's your schedule look like? Generally, they don't show me the schedule because it's like,
whatever works in one aspect of your life may not work here.
Al, what is the worst thing they could say? No.
Well, thanks for joining this week on the Elite Sales Podcast. I'm happy to be joined in studio this week by Derek Brower.
What's going on?
Joining us from Las Vegas.
Yes.
Yeah. We got John Bacaron with FFL Elite Syndicate.
How we doing?
And then we have a remote guest, which we'll get to in a second. We got, real happy to be working with him. But before we get started with all that, actually, was listening to a podcast and I heard this one quote. Wanted to share.
Which podcast?
Adam Grant Rethinking.
Okay.
So he was talking to a admiral of the Coast Guard, Linda Fagan,
mm-hmm.
and then he asked the question, "What do you consider to be leadership?" Her answer was showing up as confidence, leavened with humility, and creating the environment where others can succeed, and then eliminating any barriers to their success. Yeah. So there's showing up as confidence, leavened with humility, creating the environment where others can succeed, and eliminating any barriers to their success. So
that's great. I like that last one.
Yeah.
That's really cool.
So, I mean, I actually started thinking about, because, obviously, we're here building an agency, building a team, working with people all the time. So part of listening to that made me really kind of think of a situation that we came across yesterday.
Yeah.
So Derek, John, Mark, Trenton, we're all working together a little bit on this one project.
IP.
We're trying to build something out. We're trying to figure out, some additional lead sources and some automation, some certain things, and just stuff that already kind of exists out there. But we're trying to tailor it to what we want,
mm-hmm.
and tailor it to, and not just for us to be able to be like, hey, we're all going to write a bunch of business. It's more like, how do we build something out that we can actually scale, that we can get more people on,
that we own too,
right.
Which is great. Yeah.
If people feel that it's advantageous. Now, obviously, everyone, you're running your own business. If you have your own ideas or your own designs on how you want to run it, you're more than welcome to. No one is stopping you from doing so. We're just trying to continue to build out a platform that more people can jump onto, because right now we have a ton of resources. It's hard to centralize anything. It's hard to kind of be like, hey, because things do change, and having a lack of control, you don't control a lot of the variables.
Right.
So, we got on a little, I guess, mastermind call yesterday, and we're just kind of
think tank. Yeah.
Think tank. How'd you guys see it going?
Productive. Derek knows, man, this guy took like a class for marketing.
Yeah. That was a lot.
So he spoke a lot. He had a lot of good input. Martin spoke a lot, but overall, what I feel like that I'm seeing that are producing well in our business, they have a special niche, right? They have an advertising niche that's catering to what they're bringing out, and people are being attracted through them. So when you buy a lead, the lead is a blank canvas. The lead is just providing information about the life insurance. Whereas the marketing now, video ads are popping, right? Tailored video ads. So now the clientele that wants to listen to you is applying to you, not applying to the product that you're pitching.
Mm-hmm.
So if we can create a tailor ad for us, that's where our business is going to grow. So it's more of like the productive part is, okay, what's working, what's not working, who's the clientele, who's not our clientele, what are our disadvantages of this and that, cost of lead, this and that. So there's a lot of metrics involved in it.
A lot of split testing. I mean, yeah, like marketing in itself is, whatever, multi-billion-dollar industry just because of the power behind it. But if we can nail at least a fraction of that, I think that, that's going to open so many doors for everybody in the agency, to kind of jump on and see what works for them and, have their own spin off of it. Because once you get like the core product, then we're solid with the rest.
Yeah.
And just so everyone knows, how long have you been doing marketing for?
Not a long time, but many hours worth of it. So it's like a lot of courses. I've probably put over, 80, 90 hours at least into one of the courses I was in. And then, I got another one that has even more. So, and that's not even talking about TikTok, YouTube, Google search, everything. So there's a long road ahead of us, but again, if we can just get a little part of that going, then it'll be awesome.
Well, I'm gonna ask that question a little tongue in cheek because I know the answer. It hasn't been very long.
No, it has not been long.
You've put in a lot of time to try to research and try to understand things, but in terms of the actual time you've been doing it, it's a relatively short time.
Yep.
But see, this is the thing. No matter where you are in your particular business, whatever it may be, the thing is everyone's got to start somewhere. Everyone's got to figure out, all right, what do I really want to do here? And if this is what I want to do, how do I get to this point? And the bottom line is you got to put in the time. You got to put in the work. You got to do the research. You got to split test it. You got to A/B test it. You got to try out different things. You got to see what you are good at, see what you're not good at. Do you contract out certain parts? Do you lean on others? Do you partner with other people? There's so many different routes that you can go. But the thing is, if you don't do the work, you'll never get there.
Yeah.
So as we're discussing the things, everyone had different ideas. Everyone talked about certain things. And, that quote is actually something I related to our experience from yesterday. It said, showing up with confidence, leavened with humility, creating an environment where others can succeed, and eliminating barriers to their success. Now, this is the part where I'm, just pat myself on the back a little bit. I just happen to be like, you know what, that applies to me because I feel like I'm uniquely qualified to be able to fill a position like that. And by uniquely qualified, I don't mean like I was born a natural leader and I have all these unique skills that others can't replicate. None do.
Oh, but you do.
Well, thank you. I appreciate you for saying that, Trish. I'll pay you later for that comment.
Yeah.
No, but in reality, the reason why I feel like I was uniquely qualified to be in that position is also because my 17 plus years of experience in insurance, my experience dealing with a little bit of all that different stuff to various degrees. So, I mean, I've got my personal experience. I talk to these guys daily. I talk to Trent daily. I talk to Mark almost daily. So, we've been really working at this together. So then the thing is, I've cultivated relationships with all these different people that I'm working with closely on this. And I have my finger on the pulse. So as we were going through and just talking about different ideas, everyone brought us some different ideas. And then I was just like, take a step back. I looked at the situation. I'm like, great. Instead of us all implementing the same changes, let's work to each other's strengths. Mark, let's have you do this part. Trent, let's have you do this part. John, you're already taking this part. Derek, let's have you do this part, and I'll do this part. And, I'm also, trying to create that environment because I'm funding a lot of it. So, that's something that I can contribute, even if I don't put in the physical man hours into every single component of it, because you can't scale a business that way. Mm-hmm. You can master a certain part and then further build it out from there. But, this is also why I'm uniquely qualified for this particular endeavor. The thing is, I've conceptualized the entire thing. I've been talking to people that I feel comfortable with, people that are going to be accountable, people that I know that, because it's not to my benefit to pick someone that's going to be like, hey, this person's really good at it, but they'll never communicate with me, or they're not going to work within a certain parameters, and then it's not going to further develop what we're trying to accomplish together as a group. So that's everything that I've done in my career, even though this is not anything I planned when I first started. It was just kind of like, it's uniquely positioned me to be able to be ready for this kind of moment. So for me to be able to take a step back, let's delegate this part out, delegate this part out, then let's keep the communication going. Let's continue to further share our data to be able to help each other grow certain parts. If this particular component works better, let's focus a little bit more on this. If this is generating the least amount of results, is it worth fixing? Let's talk that part out. If it's not, let's abandon it. Let's go somewhere else. So, it felt like a blessing at that moment. And obviously, to be able to remove some of the obstacles, it's money.
Capital. Yeah.
So it's everything else I've built for this agency to try to get it to a certain point, to be able to have money to be able to throw into different things to continue to grow, rather than just, we're going to continue running the same exact play, the same exact thing, and stay with the same exact results. Let's figure something else out.
Yeah.
And most importantly, I think the reason why I'm most uniquely qualified for this particular endeavor is also because we believe that it's going to work. However, there's a remote chance that maybe it terribly fails, right? Maybe we get absolutely no results and this is a total waste of money, total waste of time, and nothing comes of it. I don't think that's going to happen, but there's a possibility, right?
Yeah.
And for me, I'm like, I've made this many mistakes in my leadership time, made this many mistakes in terms of building an agency, that I'm completely immune to that. I'm completely like, if it fails, it fails. I don't think it will, because I'm putting my expertise and my experience into this. I'm recruiting people that are going to give me useful feedback and that's going to be accountable, that they care about this project as well. So, I don't think it's going to fail, but the thing is, if it does, okay, it is what it is. Time to move on to the next thing. And if you don't try, you don't have an opportunity to succeed at something. So I'm just, I'm excited.
I agree. This is not failing. I'm not letting it fail.
Well, I mean,
we're not letting it fail. I mean,
I say failing, but it's like, it may not get the optimal results that we're hoping for, but we're still going to make money off it.
Yeah. Then we just throw more money at it. I think we'll fix things.
Yeah. Hope you're enjoying the video so far. Please make sure that you like, subscribe, comment, anything to help support the algorithm so we can continue to bring you more valuable content and continue to be part of your lives. Also, if you don't feel that it's providing you that much support since you're already at this point, like and subscribe anyway.
Yeah, it's just the psychology of an entrepreneur about, the bigger the risk, the better the reward, right? So, and also when you're starting off in any new business, you got to put some either time and money. It's good to have both, right? And now, just like anything else, you're buying a lead. Will I sell? Will I make contact? Is this the right lead vendor? It's the same process. It's just putting the, next foot forward into it and making sure hopefully it works. But we can't psych ourselves out and say, hopefully it doesn't work, right? We're here to make money. So we got to take the chance. But what we're doing is we're delving into the marketing side, the lead generation side, and then creating our own leads, creating the right platform, having a little bit more control of, what is out there versus just getting the lead and you don't even know where the lead came from. Like I know I used to have this issue when I would call the leads and I would question the lead vendor and I would get a client and say, I didn't fill anything out. They did this. I don't know how you got my info. Take me off this list. And now we're putting out the ad content. We're putting out the client. The clients are responding on it. There's like verbal cues of like secret input that they would put about, the history or where they came from. And you confirm that. And I'm still getting the same results from these clients. I didn't fill anything out. Now I know. It's like, okay, it's the clients. The clients are lying.
And exactly what time and what device you use to fill it out. Yeah.
I put out the lead. I'm the lead vendor, right? So now you just understand, okay, this is what's happening into the business. Okay, it's a skill based, whether you're marketing with a skill or you're calling with a skill. So it's fun. It's a new challenge.
Yeah, and there's plenty of other people that are doing similar things. Darren, obviously, since Trisha chimed in, they're building something out that looks really cool. It's been producing some really good results for people. So the thing is, you have to go into it with the right people. And you have to go into it with the right mindset. Because, you could be out there listening right now and be like, oh, that sounds cool. I want to be in it. And the thing is, I'm not trying to exclude anybody in particular, but here's also the minimum baseline that I need to set. Because when I was newer, when I was first getting into this industry, start building teams, all this other stuff. I mean, you like to think everyone's just good-hearted. Everyone wants to do their own thing. Everyone understands. Everyone's cool with just taking personal responsibility. It's not always the case. And, it's human nature. And I understand this part, but there's always people that say like, oh, like John and I have been close for a long time. Like he's the first person I promoted into management. I got him straight out of college when I hired him at my last company. So the thing is, I've had people along the way, when they see me help John with something, and I'll get to that point in a bit. But when I help John with something, they'll say stuff like, "Oh, of course you're helping John. You're only helping John because he kisses your ass or whatever, right?" And I'm like, clearly you don't know. He doesn't do that because he's not that sentimental of a dude. But I'm like, it's interesting how people perceive certain situations and then they internalize it and instead of looking at how do I get into something like that, and I'm not saying you want to or should get into something like this, but I'm just trying to prove a point. I'm trying to describe something, because in those situations where they say like, oh, you're only helping John because of this, you're only helping Derek because of this, you're only helping so-and-so because of this. It's like, yeah, I'm helping them. And even if John was kissing my ass, I'm like, what's wrong about that? Like, why? I want to keep someone that around me that hates me, that's someone that's going to talk crap about me all the time and make me feel low. I mean, I'm not saying that that's the case either, because you need to keep a nice balance in your life, business, professionally, to keep you even keeled and keep you understanding how things need to go. And when you need people that call you out. So in those,
There said, John, wipe that brown off of your nose.
Hilarious.
Doesn't happen.
But in these type of situations, the thing is you need to get around other people that will give you good feedback, that'll be honest, that'll be accountable. And you can't, if you work with anyone less than that, actually slows down the project. Right. Also, you can't have entitled people. You can't have people that are expecting you to do certain things and they don't want to participate. They don't want to give up anything. They just want to just sit there and just reap all the benefits. Okay? Then what do we need that person for? Not for this in particular. It's like everyone serves a certain role, but I think we all need to be a little bit more self-aware about those situations. And if you want to be a part of something, okay, ask yourself, how can I be an asset to this group? What do I need to do to get in? Who do I need to talk to? What kind of questions do I need to develop? How do I make them see a particular value that can contribute to the group? It doesn't have to be all the same value. In fact, you probably don't want all the same value that everyone's contributing the same way, because everyone can just do that individually. You want people to bring different things to the table that contribute to overall bigger goal, and people try to figure some stuff out and see if the sum of the parts is greater than the individual. Right. So.
Yeah. And trying anything new, though, I think a really big part of that as well is being able to be coachable. Like whatever works in one aspect of your life may not work here. So like, if you're a top shot producer, like maybe in a different lead, a different lead venue or whatever it may be does not work the same way. You got to change some things, but you have to be able to recognize that, hey, this isn't working. It could be me, or most likely is me. So let me change this up and like be willing to accept that criticism from other people,
right,
that are, doing well in it. So that's a big part.
Yeah,
definitely.
This particular group, I mean, speaking of that, I mean, yeah, I can't have any sensitive people.
Yeah.
Because the thing is, like, we just need to move sometimes. And sometimes I can't be like, oh, why'd you say this to me? It's like, we don't have time to consider feelings at this moment where we're trying to figure things out. And, the thing is, it's just been fun to have a little project to work on with, in addition to the rest of our normal day-to-day business life, because that's still got to continue to go on. We can't drop everything to just work on something. So it is fun. I mean, I'm getting to know everyone within that group a little bit more, because how do they respond to challenges? How do they respond to adversity? How do they respond to off-color humor? How do they respond? Because the thing is, like, that does make it fun. Because the thing is, we've failed plenty along the way. We've had little mistakes that we've made and little things that didn't go according to plan. And it's just like, all right, well, how do we, like, we make little jokes about it and just move on.
Yeah.
Rather than just dwelling on the problem.
Yeah, I think you got to have that type of team members. They always talk about one of the business calls too is like having your starting five, right? So you gotta pick the people you want to grow in the business with. It's not always going to be fun. It's not always going to be like the high. So when you're hitting those low points, do you want to have somebody that's going to drive you lower, drive you towards the cliff, right? Versus like, we'll make fun of it. I'm feeling the same way. Like one of the situations right now when we're doing these clients or the leads, we started getting a lot of old people, like 83, 85, 87, 88, 89, 94. Somebody sent you a text picture of themselves, right? World War I, yeah. We have some adults. He was old. That were adults at World War II.
He was back there.
So, like, it's frustrating. Like we would not even get a presentation in because one, they're just like out there, either sick or like mentally they're not there. And even if you did a presentation, how can they do an application? It's a dead lead in a sense. So do you want somebody to go in and just complain all day about that? And it's like, where's the productivity into that?
Yep. Instead, we've all been like, how can we avoid this? How can we change this?
Right.
This sucks. It's like,
right. So we're looking at what is our controlling factor into this?
Right. I mean, the question is normally like, there's got to be a way to try to at least decrease this, even if we can't eliminate it altogether.
Yeah.
How do we abate this a little bit? So, the right type of questions are being asked. And the thing is, it wasn't like, hey, I'm gonna try to put together this team. I'm gonna commission these people. I'm gonna task out this. It was more just it organically happened. It was guys that I already talked to on a regular basis. We share certain challenges. This is what I've been running into. How do we get out of this? How do we improve this situation? And by virtue of all that, this is how we all started kind of coming together and we started working on it together. So if there's anyone out there that sees certain challenges, I mean, first of all, have you done everything you're supposed to do with it? Because when people say like, oh, leads don't work, I'm like, well, how many have you bought and how many have you worked? What's your schedule look like? Generally, they don't show me the schedule because it's like, you don't have enough of a sample size to really make a determination either way. But, I want people that are solution oriented, and that's what I'm going for. And that's something that I'm excited to. I mean, this past weekend, I spent a good amount of time with Terrence out in Atlanta, and then we had conversations just heading out to the stadium where we went to go watch the Falcons-Packers game, and we got a chance to spend a little bit of time together, and just throughout that process, obviously, catching up a little bit personally, but also we had a chance to talk about the business, and he's telling me his goals. He's speaking it out loud, and he says like, "Oh, this is how I want to get here," and then by virtue of him saying that, I'm like, okay, well, this is what I know from these people that have gotten to that level. This is what they said. This is what this person is doing. This is how this person's got there. And then he's like, so, it's an exchange of ideas for people that want to grow. So if your environment doesn't bring a lot of that type of talk, you should consider, are you in the right environment? Like, who do you need to talk to? Who do you need to be around to do that? And then second of all, the real question is, are you part of that solution? Are you part of that? Are you the one thinking of these certain solutions? Or are you just mainly contributing to the complaining part of it?
Yeah.
So just something to consider. So leadership, I mean, that really resonated with me this morning when I listened to it. Made me think about a certain situation, and, just made me feel very blessed as far as being in a position to be able to lead in some respects. And obviously I'm not saying I'm the best leader in any regard. I still got a lot of work to do. I'm still looking forward to continuing to learn, continue to improve upon that. But yeah, I mean, it's nice to reflect back once in a while and just be like, wow, I've learned the stuff that I've learned along the way. I can actually go and employ and actually apply in certain situations, and it could actually help improve the situation for other people. So I hope that for all of you guys to be able to do it on a certain level and whatever level that you aspire to do. And if you don't want to lead anybody else, you just want to focus on you, more power to you too. All right. Well, that was a long-winded little introduction before we get to my man, Dylan. So Dylan, are you on with us?
Go D.
Yes, I am. How are you?
Let me give the proper introduction. So Dylan is actually a young man that we've actually talked to for a while, maybe close to a year, which I didn't even actually remember, because John had talked to him a couple of times too. And I talked to a lot of people. So, I mean, so the thing is, like, he reached out to me, we started talking, and then, we it wasn't an immediate thing that we wanted to come on board. He asked a bunch of questions, said, well, what about this? What about that? What about this? Because I can get this here. I can do this there. And I was like, I was just upfront about it. I'm like, hey, listen, I'm just trying to eliminate certain obstacles for you. I'm trying to help you, put you in a place, and, just be a resource for you. At the end of the day, you still got to do the work. It's still got to be you. And it took him a little while. The thing is that certain things came up along the way, and before he actually got contracted. So part of me was thinking, was he serious? Is he actually going to do this or not? Was he just jerking my chain a little bit? But ultimately, he continued to keep good communication, which I'm thankful for. We continue to talk. He continued to ask questions. I continue to address certain things. And we got to the point where he finally got contracted.
Nice.
So joining us out of New Jersey, 20-year-old, which I didn't even know he's that young, but he's 20 years old. And we got Dylan Smith joining us, who actually helped over 10 families in his first week here at Family First Life.
Smooth finance.
Welcome aboard, my man.
Thank you, guys. Thank you. So, I mean, that everything you said before, I never listened to one of these podcasts. I've seen clips of them, but absolutely love it. Completely agree. You guys are killing the game. So it's been honestly incredible. The first week, about a week and a half working with Al, he's been there every single time I call him. I mean, he's running a great team, it looks like. And, it's been incredible. 10 families this week. And I'm planning to do hopefully 20 to 30 in the next month. So that's really the goal.
Awesome. Well, so let's take a little step back. So when you came on board here, what was your goal here at Family First Life? Because you came from the insurance industry, you're already was with another IMO.
Yeah.
What stood out with FFL that gave you an advantage in terms of furthering your career?
Phenomenal. So the company I was with before was a great company. They taught me honestly a lot. Was with them. Everything was going really well. But the difference between Family First and what attracted me to Family First and the company I was at before is this is a producer model. So the company I was with before was really a build model. So I recruited 118 people in the business, wrote dozens of policies. My team was writing policies. We were doing really well. My team is very young, keep in mind. So a lot of these guys come on and they're like, oh, quick money. They get licensed, they get through it, and they'll write a few policies and be done. So I really, really, got good with my specific niche and who I wanted to sell to and my specific product. So I found Family First Life and I said, okay, this is a producer model. This is something that I can really see myself, growing with and becoming successful with. So I decided to make that change. And that's really that was the main reason was, you guys start at a very high contract level, and that attracted me and Al, and obviously John. You guys have helped me in the past and I've always been there, and haven't been in touch since we've last spoken, but when I reached out, you guys were there, and it was a big turn on, and here I am. So
well, I mean, I think it's really cool that you see FFL as a producer model, which it definitely is. It's very producer friendly.
Yeah.
I think that was how the company was originally founded, because Sean Mike was always a top producer wherever he's been. And the thing is, like, it's designed to be able to keep the money in the pockets for the people that are actually doing the work. Because you can go to a lot of other organizations where they focus primarily on building, because number one, there may be a scarcity of leads. There may be, it may be a little bit more challenging. The comp as far as producer may not be as high. So everybody focuses on, hey, instead of me just doing the work, let me just hire someone to do the work for me.
Right.
So that's oftentimes the case in certain type of organizations. Here at Family First Life, yes, it's very producer friendly. I think you'd be very pleasantly surprised once you start delving into that a little bit more, and once you start going down that direction, which I'll be working with you on.
I got a lot to learn still. This is still very new to me, the whole company, the system, the model. So I'm, bear with me while I, learn that and continue to be on the meetings and all that. So
no, absolutely. So I think I'm just really excited for you, because I think once you recognize how profitable it can be, how rewarding it can be, how fulfilling it can be to actually build a team here, even though there's a producer model definitely 100% in place. The thing is, it's a great opportunity to be able to build here too.
Amen. I plan on building with you guys. I want to show my team I could do it first, put up some big numbers the first month, and we'll definitely be bringing those guys on. So I got a lot of guys rallied up. They're very excited. So it's good stuff.
So as far as once you got in here, you told me that you had some business lined up, and you were going to come out the gates hot. Which at first I'm like, show me, because everyone says everyone does that, but you actually came through. And how was the transition process when you first came in?
Honestly, it was very stressful for me personally, because I had my clients waiting. Like, these guys were so excited. They're like, I need the policies, let's go. I ran the numbers with them, a few weeks before I switched, and it was really just a waiting game. So now they were waiting on me to fully get contracted, got through. And it's really just about, for me, it's all about the referrals. I will build through people's markets, and I will sit with the family. And my biggest goal is to make it as simple as possible. My job as an agent is to show my clients and teach my clients this policy so they understand it cover to cover, top to bottom, explaining it in the simplest terms as possible. And that's really my goal with every client. And now what I do is I'll take that client that I just closed. They'll go out and they'll say, oh my God, now they're able to talk about it, and they're able to fluently explain this product without like, oh, well, you got the big words and the loan rates and this and that. I don't want to confuse my clients. I want to make it as simple as possible. And that's really, how I've been able to come out the gates really hot and heavy, is because all of my clients that I had, I think 2 of them were, personal people that I knew. The rest of them are all referrals. And that comes from, my guys being able to explain. So that's, that was a big reason for the hot start.
Yep. Also, in the process of us, discussing whether or not this would be a right fit, You talked about your business model, which I see the smooth financial behind you.
Let me turn it on. Hold on. Smooth finance. So you got to hear the story about this. So I played lacrosse in high school, and growing up, they all used to call me D Smooth. So not smooth, it was VE, D Smooth. And that I kind of took it. I ran with it. I loved it. Everyone called me D Smooth, and it was just something where, what was a name for a brand, a business, something catchy, something different, something fun, and I stuck with it, and I love it. So.
Yeah, and I saw some of your videos, and it's been really, really cool to watch. I mean, so when you came in, I was like, yeah, we buy leads here. You don't have to, I think for me, I still stick with that idea. Part of the reason why we're working on this current project now, because we just see that it works, and it's.
I plan on doing that too. Yeah.
Yeah. So you told me, you're like, hey, I've got some referrals. I'm really good at collecting those. I know how to do that, which I never stopped you. I was like, cool. Utilize that skill set of yours. But then the thing is, ultimately, yes, I'm going to continue to talk to you to help you transition to be able to just expand your business, to be able to expand your business model, to be able to do more things. And on top of that, I mean, as good as you may be in terms of collecting referrals, when you start building a team, you start bringing people on, some people may not be that good. Some people may not have that much of a passion in it. Some people may not put out, videos that's going to help market their business. Some people are just not built for that, or they have to build up.
Completely agree.
Yeah,
completely agree.
So it's been a really cool project for me to work with someone like you as well, to be like, all right, I'm gonna let you start this way. Let's see how it goes, and then how do we develop out the next phase for Dylan?
Yep. And I plan to stick to the system. Obviously you guys have been in business forever, and it's a proven system. Obviously it works, and I plan to really dive into those leads and learn the system. The company I was with before have never used leads, and that's just really how I learned. And I mean, I used to go out in a full suit, like head to toe, 18, 19 years old, going to the mall next to my house on a Tuesday afternoon because I never went to college. I would be pitching everyone. I would go in the store, act like I'm buying a shirt. You guys have this in a size medium. You look like a sharp guy. How long you've been working here? And that's really how I get my leads. And, I've always been a good on the phones and then like speaking to people. But for me, it's the in-person. I got to shake your hand, look you in the eye, and really get your number down and bring them to the office and get them coffee or lunch or dinner. That for me has really worked. But definitely the leads, I plan to do that sooner than later, honestly. I want to get through this wave of clients and right onto the leads, and we'll be building to those guys too. So,
nice. Well, I want to ask you about that then, because when I was 18, 19 years old myself, I've never really been a shy person. But the thing is, when I was 18, 19 years old, talking to adults and talking to strangers was a little bit terrifying to me. So I couldn't even make eye contact with the waitress when she came by to take my order. Right. So how did you feel so comfortable? How did you feel so confident just going up to people in the mall and just like stopping people and talking to them about insurance? Like, did it come naturally, or was it something that you built up?
For me, it's always came naturally. That's the God's honest truth. But here's the question I always ask myself. Al, what is the worst thing they could say? No, I will never see this person again. For me, that's what's always sold. It's same thing with girls, with anything. Like you go up to anybody and it's like, what is the worst thing they could say? Move on. Life goes on. You'll forget about it in 2 weeks. So that was kind of my idea. And here's another thing too. I know what I have to offer. This product sells itself. So I'm doing you a dishonor if I walk by. That's how I'm wired. I'm doing you a dishonor if I walk by you and I don't pitch you an insurance policy, or I don't at least explain to you how this stuff has changed over the last 5-10 years with these living benefits, all the above. I'm doing you a dishonor. So that's how I feel, where there's all these people that walk by me. Like I need to talk to all of them. I'll go in the store. I'm very systematic, and I really have a plan of execution before I'll go into the mall and talk to people. I have a specific type of people I'll go up to, anywhere from, 18 to honestly, even, 15 years old. I just wrote a policy for a 16-year-old I met at the mall. He was working. I was talking to him. He looked older than he was. He loved it. So my point is this, where I'll go up to very certain people who are working in the store, who are already employees, and I'll be like, oh, you look like a sharp guy. Like I said before, what do you do for work? How long you've been doing it? Where do you see yourself in the next 3 to 5 years, with that work? And do you invest? Have you seen the market we're looking at right now? We haven't closed. This is the worst half in the last 5 decades. It's 50 years. There's never been a better time to get into the market in the last 50 years. That includes an insurance policy. IUL is the permanent policies. And that's my main market right there. So that's how it's always been so easy. What's the worst they could say? And the product is too good. I'm doing everybody a dishonor if I'm not telling them. Well,
so you target a certain demo. So you certain age group. What made you decide on that group?
Phenomenal, because they're young, they're healthy, and they get approved. That's really, I've spoken to a lot of people who are older, and the area that I live in New Jersey is a beautiful area. It's Monmouth County, Central Jersey, and the people around me who are my age, 20, 18, 19, we all work. We all have jobs, whether we're in school, whether we're, working full time. We all make money somehow, and it's not mommy and daddy's money. Obviously, mommy and daddy could help, but a lot around here, a lot of it's daddy and mommy's money. But that's the point where I'll find these young guys in a really nice area who have money, who want to get into investing, but they don't know where to start. So for me, that's always been the easiest, getting those clients, getting them instantly approved, getting them approved, within 5 days, and really explaining to these guys, like, look, we're 4 years, we're 30 years ahead of the 8 ball right now, 4 years with school, but 30 years because we have the power of compounding interest. These accounts, the compounding interest really happens when you're older. You don't want that to be when you're 80 or 90. You want that to be when you're 50 or 60. You get it now, look at the numbers in 30 years. And that's kind of how I explain it. And that's always sold it. So
you have to carry your own policy to show them, or to show them any proof.
Oh my God, yeah. $1,000 a month. First thing I pull up, boom, look at my policy. This is how much I believe in this product. That's it.
Yeah.
So
that's good. That's good. Financial literacy to give them early.
But that's the thing, is there's a huge, and all the people around me, they're very motivated. And it's like, what I've seen is a huge lack of financial education and financial literacy between everyone. I know, give my father as well, 50 something years old, works, makes a ton of money, but it's like, he doesn't really understand this stuff. He doesn't have that huge retirement that he could have got when he was young, working the big job at Home Depot, district manager. He was never taught that. So now all these people and all of his friends as well, we're not taught this stuff in school either. We're taught Y equals MX plus B. What the hell do I need that for? I will never use that in my life. They need to explain to these guys, if you put your money away when you're young, you could be a millionaire at 30 years old, 40 years old, especially in this market. That's what people aren't taught. So that's really, that was my niche, is to go out and really just gap that bridge between financial literacy and financial illiteracy. And there's too many people around us. And these kids want to learn about it. I was so fired up to learn about it when I first got licensed in the industry. And I knew, okay, I'm fired up like this. Let me talk to everybody about this stuff. Nobody around me knew about it. And at that point, it was an easy sell, because you're bridging a huge gap. Nobody knows about it. Everyone knows real estate. Everybody knows, every other industry. People don't know life insurance. Who talks about this stuff? Nobody.
Well, all that definitely makes sense. And I think it's a great service for young kids to get started with a policy sooner than later. Number one, teach them financial responsibility, but also, yes, they're setting up their financial future. How did you learn about this kind of stuff? Just getting into the industry? Like how did you get recruited into insurance?
Really, it's a really good question. So love this story. So my sister, she was 26 at the time, and I was 17. I'm 20 now, just about 3 years ago. And she approached me, and she knew I didn't want to go to school. She knew I was very outgoing, very good at talking to people. And she approached me with 2 different industries. She was doing real estate. She was doing insurance. What would you rather do? At that time, I was looking at these TikToks, these guys making $2 million a month, $5 million a month, doing real estate, 600 properties, duplexes, all this stuff. I'm like, I want to do real estate. Now she asked me this question. Okay, who do you know at 17 years old that needs a house or that's buying a house? At that point, I knew nobody. I still don't know anybody buying a house. Who do you know at 17 years old that needs a life insurance policy? At that point, I was like, I'm 17. What the hell do I need a life insurance policy for? She really sat me down and explained the permanent policy, the returns that could, the potential returns that can happen, the no loss, the living benefits. And I was like, this is amazing. And I never knew about the product. I never heard about it. So nobody else around me heard about it. I need to go out. This is my calling. I need to go out and just tell this to everyone. So that's how I got into the industry. My sister, we were full-time together. She was doing real estate, sold like 13 houses her first year, was killing the game, and just stopped all of that. Was living in San Diego, California, and she still is. Moved back with me, held my hand through the entire process, 6 months, and we just ran, 8 days a week, 18 hours a day. We did not stop. And that's really how I, got as good as I am, because I canceled everything. I was tunnel vision, focused on one thing, learn the companies, learn the products, everything, just cover to cover, read a ton of books, networked with a ton of people. And that's how I got into the industry. So
awesome.
Animal.
Yeah. Well, we still got a long way to go, obviously, but that's a real service that your sister was able to provide for you. Is she still active in the insurance industry now?
believe it or not, she lets me handle all the insurance. I send her real estate clients if I know anybody on the West Coast, but she'll send me, she don't even want to deal with it because that's like, she does well enough in real estate where she focuses on that full time. She's like, I taught you for a reason to do this, to that's what I want to do. I want to build this business. I want to make override off of anything that you do because I taught you. Perfect plan. That's exactly what me and her worked out. And, so she's not active anymore in insurance, but obviously she still knows everything and can help with licensing. And she was very technical. I was in charge of bringing people on. She was in charge of doing all the licensing, the studying. And I mean, we were like number 5 in the company before for people brought on, switched into licensed agents. Like our conversion rate was like 5th in the company. So
awesome.
Wow.
Yeah. And I think that's kind of the point we were making earlier too, is just you got, even though you should know how to do everything, if you want to scale a bigger business, you can't focus.
Exactly.
You can't like the CEO can't be the janitor, can't be the cook, can't be like every single position because you can't grow a business that way.
Exactly right.
It's important to know, and it's important to understand that you're not above any of that because if the situation calls for it and you have to do it, it's a necessity at that moment. You got to pick up the pieces and go. But ultimately, you want to get to that position like Dylan and his sister and just specialize. I'm gonna get really good at this. I'm gonna get really good at this. Then we can refer business back and forth, and then it moves a lot faster this way too.
So, completely agree.
Yeah. All right.
Very true.
Obviously, we understand the IULs and building up a financial future for your clients is one of the most important things. When you came on board, I mean, you asked a lot of questions, which I'm happy to be there and be available for that. But there were certain differences because you've become so accustomed to a certain carrier or these carriers, and then now you got to transition to these new ones. How was the transition for you?
Honestly, it was really the first couple of days was just getting the system down, getting the contracts together, making sure that I wasn't still contracted with the company before, making sure all that was good. But honestly, once I did it one time and I went through it, a couple of the questions were a little bit different, but it's pretty similar, honestly, and just the process and obviously different questions. But yeah, same time frame, same process, and it was very smooth.
Right. And this is a pro tip for everybody else out there because I remember the first day Dylan called me and said, like, ask me all these questions. How do you go on here? How do you do this? How do you do this on the agent portal? And he was like, what about the application? Do you have time to sit with me on the first application? And I was like, yeah. Honestly, I mean, I'll make time for anyone that wants to learn, but I'm like, in reality, just call the carrier, dude. If you call the carrier, this is their job. Like they know the application better than I do. Yes. I mean, I can definitely fill it out. I can definitely go through and understand certain parts, but I can't explain it as well as they do because that's their full-time job. This is what they do.
That was the best advice you could have gave because I called them and they were like, they were on it. It was perfect. So answered quick. It was amazing. I love the F&G, the company I've been writing with. They're phenomenal.
Right.
So,
and I've had that same experience with pretty much every carrier that I've worked with especially for IULs. The sales help desk is extremely helpful because the thing is, they want your business.
They better be answering quick.
Can't argue with that.
So awesome. I mean, I think it's a very underutilized tool when it comes to if you're a brand new agent, which there's always new agents getting on and watching. So if you're in that same position, the thing is obviously you can check with your upline, but the reality is like the sales help desk is so much more helpful and there's so much more available than you actually think. And for me, I've told this story plenty of times, but just the first time I did an IUL, first time I did an annuity, I don't know how to run an illustration. I don't even know how to run an illustration. I don't know what to even look at for an illustration. So I literally just called them. I asked some preliminary questions to my upline, but I didn't want them to teach me. I wanted to just kind of figure things out for myself because I wanted to treat it like a brand new agent because I know new agents would come in after me. How did they learn the system the same way? So I just went in, called the carrier, and I said, like, hey, I have a client. I have no idea what the hell I'm doing. My client wants this is how much they have a month, or this is how much they have in lump sum. What can we do with it? And then they'll ask some follow-up questions like, what do they ultimately want to do? How long they want to pay for this for? So on and so forth. Is there a minimum death benefit they're looking for? And then from there, they're super helpful. So be resourceful. You don't need to know all the answers, but just be resourceful.
Very true.
Once you have a client, I mean, you can't mess up a sale. You can mess up an application, but you can't mess up a sale.
Right.
So get through it, make a lot of mistakes, and then it'll take you like 2 to 3 apps.
Right. Yeah, I agree with you. It was, it took a couple to really, to really learn the whole system, but it's very repetitive. Once you do it once, it's like, oh, it's the same thing, same questions, same area for everything. So you just start knocking them out.
Well, I mean, the true key to learning is experience, right? So the thing is, sometimes as you're going through the first one, you've gotten through it, and then as you get to the second one, you start to understand it better because you've seen it another time, and then you're like, oh, okay. And then you get to the third one, you're like, oh, now I know what this means. Did I mess up on the first two? Right?
Yeah.
That happened plenty of times. and that's okay. Everything can go. You can go back in and fix it. So as long as you own it, you take responsibility. Because people always think like, what if I mess up? I got to call back the client, and now I look like I don't know what I'm doing. I mean, you can always blame the carrier. I've done that a few times. I'm like, hey, I don't know what happened. I thought I filled it out correctly.
I'm guilty of that. Yeah.
Telling me that it didn't go through for some reason. So we need to redo this application.
Yeah, I made that mistake. I did an annuity, and then it was actually the carrier's fault. It's the e-app. It allowed me to sign. So at the end of the Athene's application, you can sign and the clients can sign, right? And you can send the email signatures. Well, I sent the email signatures to the client, but they took a longer time to sign it. So I went and signed mine. They signed it the next day when they opened up the email. Application was done. It gets submitted to Athene. Athene is coming back to me saying, hey, the agent can't sign before the client. So you got to do a new app.
Do we do the whole thing?
Yeah, no, they said you could just print it, print the app, re-sign your part, put the new date in because it was one day off. Yeah. And then they were like, state requirements, legality. And I'm sitting over there and telling them, well, why did you guys let me do that? Why did you allow me to sign? You should have a stop. What was the fourth quote on that leadership thing? Eliminate the barrier. Yep. So you didn't eliminate that barrier for me, man. But at the same time, for most of the e-app, it eliminates a lot of the barriers for a new agent. It's dummy proof. You can't continue until you filled out this part, and you can't go to the next part if there's an X on and red mark on the next. Except, just advanced market type of companies like FNG. When they use Firelight, it's just a lot. Yeah. It can get confusing.
Yeah. So for all you new agents, I mean, you have some comfort in knowing most of them, they don't let you mess up because they don't let you move forward without it. So if you messed up, you did something special.
Yeah. And it's not the end of the world. It's not the end of the world if you messed up. If you submitted an app, made it stale. So it's not a bad deal.
Right. That's progress either way. All right. So Dylan, what's the next step for you now that you've gotten your first 10 family week? You're clearly you're learning and you're progressing. Like, what are the next steps for you now?
Really, next steps would just be to venture out and just find more clients. My whole policy is new money, put it away. New money, put it away. So that's really my goal, is to network. That's what I do. I market, I network. I own a couple Instagram accounts they're like theme page accounts that I'll go through, post insurance videos and kind of sprinkle a little bit of everything in there. And that's really gets a lot of traction as well. So I dip into a lot of different ventures as well, some affiliate marketing stuff, and just all about networking, getting into different groups, getting really close to these guys and just explaining the value of this product and how it works and, how important this stuff is. And, 9 times out of 10, they give me the time of day. That's really the hardest part. You give me 5 minutes of your time, I can run an illustration with you. You're closed. That's it. I don't let them say no. So that's really the next steps here.
You're getting referrals now. Are you still going to the mall and stopping people and trying to talk to them?
Oh my God. Yeah. It's not. So that was like my business. I would do like 2 or 3 days a week where I'll dress up in a full suit and I'll like purposely go, but I don't want to, toot my own horn, but I've gotten very good at this and I've really mastered the scripts and the system and the sales and all that. So I'll just go out and I'm a very clean cut guy. I always dress very nice and very aware of, how I dress, its approach and the impression. So I'll just be anywhere. I won't go out and dress up anymore, but I'll just dress normal and I'll still talk to everyone. I'll go and get a pair of shoes and I'll get, 4 phone numbers on the way out every time. I'll set little goals for myself too. I'll be like, I will not walk out of this mall without 6 phone numbers every time. And I'll stick to it. I will not leave until I get those phone numbers.
Yeah. If you guys followed FFL Family First Life on Instagram, they just did an interview about this guy. He's one of the leaders in, I forgot who interviewed him, but he's one of the leaders in like the East Coast. And this guy, when he would go on trips, he just talked about, he went into a trip in Tampa and he got the best hotel. He was dressed well. He went in and ate at their nicest restaurant. and he just spoke to everyone. He made it a point. He spoke to the concierge, anybody in the elevator, people serving him, and he had like 9 recruits, and he was just talking about recruiting, not selling. Right? If you have that ability and you already have the skill, our business is based on relationships and scaling that. So the more people you talk to, the more you can grow, whether it's a sale in the life insurance or recruiting. And that can be something big for you at that end.
Really agree. And what I will say to everyone here, just as like a kind of learning point that I've kind of found in myself, is there's like people will get nervous to go talk to people and, I don't want to go and buy the nicest hotel, and exactly what you were just saying. And, going and talking to all these high end people and these, big whales in the industry. I've always thought everyone in business is taught your network is your net worth. So everyone wants to network. So like if you're talking to someone who's like-minded in business with you, they're going to want to talk to you just as much as you want to talk to them. So that was kind of something I've learned is like, I don't care talking to the 40-year-old, 50-year-old, 60-year-old guy with a net worth of $100 million on Wall Street. I don't mind that because he's going to want to network with me too. And that's kind of what I found is just, if you're talking to people and going to an event like that and buying the nicest hotel, those are the easiest events to close people because those guys, they're expecting someone to network with them. They want to talk to people. They want to see other avenues of revenue that they could generate just by, talking and doing new business ventures. It's businesses all around. So that's a big thing for me.
Yeah. No, typically when a new agent comes in, they say like, I'll talk to them about their lead strategy, how they're planning on getting going. Typically, if a new agent says like, I'm just going to focus on referrals. Most of the time I'm like, all right, well, once you get past your mom and dad, what are you going to do? What are you going to do there? And I always make sure that I continue to be like, hey, it's not about making a sale. It's about how do you create a business model that you can continue to sustain and be able to continue to make money.
Amen.
Typically, that's the case. I mean, a guy like Dylan, so far, I'm like, hey, I mean, like if you're going to continue to go out and talk to people, I mean, like I'm not going to push the lead thing as hard. I'm still going to continue to advocate for you and continue to share that information to help you expand. But if you're going to continue at this pace, I'm like, I got no problems with it.
But at the end of it all, if you look at it, it's a lead managing tool too. Right. It's a lead nurturing, lead prospecting at that point.
Yeah.
It's all about
I've always just been an in-person kind of guy. It's just like, and that's not a lot. That's not everyone. And for me, honestly, it's always came very easy for me. And this is work though. It's real work, learning the product, getting people to trust you. And one of my goals I set in my business when I first started was I do not want to talk to anybody ever again that I cannot answer any question they ask me. I want any question that a client will ask me, I want to be able to answer it full and whole. And I know confident that answer is correct. And that was my goal. And I did not stop until I learned. I've read every page on a policy, every single word on a page, and I learned it from cover to cover. And those are the days that suck. You're sitting there dreading it. Like, I don't want to sit here and read a 47-page document, talking, half of it's all like the terms and conditions and stuff. But it's like, that's what you need to do. That's what this stuff takes. And if you really seem educated to the outside world and you're able to talk to people, I'll be in the mall talking to the guy and there's 3 other employees coming up like, what is this kid talking about? 11 to 13% a year on average. Like, what is this guy? And then you get 4 more, and then they're telling their brother, sister, mom, dad, grandparents are telling everyone. So, but I do hear that leads are very effective, and that's something I'm 1000% open to all revenue streams. And that's something I'm going to probably start within the month is buying, a ton of leads and just banging them all out, making contacts with these guys and using my same system, just instead of in person, over the phone.
Awesome.
So,
all right. Well, before we let you go, I'm going to ask a few final questions. So if there's an agent, since you're a relatively new agent, but you've been in the industry, if there's an agent struggling, what's your advice to them?
Struggling with what? Recruiting or
the business
policies? Business. My advice to an agent struggling is talk to people who have done it. Talk to people that you can relate to, that you look at as a leader, and pick their brain. Take them to lunch, take them to dinner. That would be my advice to them. And really just ask very highly pointed questions, hyper specific questions of exactly what you're struggling with. Make a list. That would be my advice.
What's your daily routine look like?
Every single morning, wake up, go to the gym. It's the beauty of running your own business. I can wake up whenever I want. So there's never a certain time that I'm setting an alarm, like, 7 a.m., 8 a.m. I'll usually wake up at around 8 or 9, hit the gym for an hour and a half, come back here and working all day. I don't really eat much during the day, no lunch breaks. And I'll have a couple agents come over and just, it's business all day. This stuff is fun for me. I fell in love with it. It's in my blood. It's in my routine. It's business all day. Gym, food, business. That's it.
GTL, baby.
GTL, Gym Tan Laundry. That's it.
Do it.
He is from Jersey.
Yeah, he is from Jersey.
Final question for you. So you got some big deposits coming. So that's gonna be nice for you. And I hope you share with me. I mean, as far as how much you make. Now you don't have to share the actual money unless you want to. But as aside from money, what do you do this for?
The product. To gap the bridge between financial literacy and financial literacy. That is why I do it, and to help people. That's my answer. That's in a nutshell. Yeah, I teach finance because school doesn't. It's plain and simple. That's why I do it.
Smooth finance.
Because really, I mean, honestly, my goal, and that's the reason I do it. Obviously, the money is great, but I put the people first. I know people aren't educated on this stuff and they're not taught this. And the longer they wait, the less the product performs, if that makes sense. So that's my goal, is to just talk to everyone when they're young and they have the 30 years of compounding interest that their parents never had. Everyone was like, oh, I wish I had an insurance policy. I wish. Listen, dude, you're 17 years old. Get the damn policy. Like that's why I do it. And these people will, they have thanked me and be like, wow, I never knew it worked like this. And that's what I want to do, is just bridge that gap between financial literacy and financial illiteracy. And that's what I've been doing.
Cool.
Yeah.
I never would have thought about it at that age. So it's great to see that you're doing stuff like this. You guys got any final questions for Dylan?
I'm excited to see what ends up in his future.
Me too. All right.
See you guys on the leaderboards.
Yeah, man.
No pressure. Just everyone's watching, but
Pressure is a privilege.
I know you like that. So I just wanted to thank Dylan for coming on and sharing about his early success. Looking forward to continued success and continued development within his business. Thank you, Derek. Thank you to John. Thank you to everyone else that contributed. Appreciate y'all. Let's go out there and continue to apply some of these things. Implement a little bit. Get the right people around you. Ask the right questions. It can all be figured out. So let's go out and do what we can. Appreciate y'all.
Amen.
Guys, hope you guys enjoyed the video. Thank you guys once again for supporting. If you guys want to see more of that, please make sure you like, subscribe, click on this link here to subscribe, click on this link for the next video.